What's up guys, Houndish here, and today we're back with some Destiny 2 news and updates, and of course, it's TWID Day. In case you're wondering, that's an abbreviation for This Week in Destiny. I'm not being verbally abusive, and in the update this week, they clarify some things about ritual weapon pools in Season 22. Plus they give us a better look at returning weapons for the season, a new archetype, and a few other notes regarding upcoming weapon adjustments. On top of that though, we get a raid date for the upcoming reprised raid in Season 22, so we'll cover that and the rest of the core updates from Bungie's article this week, and so I hope you guys enjoy the video. If you do, a rating below would be much appreciated, but otherwise, let's get into it. So starting out with a quick note right here, but Bungie Help have said D2 is scheduled to undergo all-day back-end maintenance, and just in case you experience any weirdness after the maintenance begins, players may be returned to the title screen upon hitting orbit after activity completion, but after logging back in, we shouldn't expect further interruptions. So we'll leave that there just in case you were curious. And otherwise, before we get into TWID specifically, yesterday Bungie previewed some of the Season 22 ritual weapon rewards. One of the weapons they listed for the Nightfall was the Hollis sniper rifle. Obviously that's a legendary weapon, and players were quick to point out that there's already a rare version of that, which is a kinetic bow. Turns out though that Bungie made a mistake on that front, and they've said, we've made a change to the original article regarding Season 22 Nightfall weapons. And the correct reward is the Pre-Astian Axe, a solar precision bow, and the article has been updated accordingly, so should reflect the correct bow name. Obviously kind of a minor change considering we don't know anything else about the weapon, but that is the actual name for the new Nightfall weapon coming next season. And on that subject, Luke HW on Reddit did point out, it would appear we're getting a whole bunch of Cassoid weapons in Season 22. And often the Cassoid weapons have 2 Latin words and a numeral inside of their names. That's been the same since Destiny 1. And on top of a whole bunch of popular legendary weapons, of course, other Cassoid weapons include things like Telesto, Ariana's Vow, Dead Messenger, and a host of other weapons. So possibly it looks like Cassoid is going to be a focus for next season, and it's possible even some of the exotic loot could be associated with that foundry. So just something quick to point out right there. Moving on though, as we head into Bungie's weekly blog post, firstly, they have a save the date, and they say another raid experience is just around the corner. Coming up in Season 22, we'll be reprising another raid for you to relive or maybe tackle for the first time. Although the name of the raid is still under wraps, we did want to make sure that we shared the date so you can start making those day one plans in prep for the new season. And so the upcoming raid will go live on September 1st, 2023, and so that will actually be the second week of the season on the Friday. And so a few things to keep in mind, contest mode will be enabled for 48 hours, and clearing the raid with contest mode active is the first step to access challenge mode in the Director and the Secret Triumph, and completing the Secret Triumph that consists of a curated list of challenges will allow the first fire team to snag the World First title. And to enforce the Triumph requirements in challenge mode, your fire team will wipe if you fail the success conditions during any encounter. So contests will work in very much the same way as we've seen previously. In terms of what the raid will be, of course, some players are after Wrath of the Machine. There's also speculation it could be Crota's End. Part of that is related to some leaks that came out. Can't say for sure whether those are true, but with the raid coming out on the second week of the season, of course it is possible that we will have a power increase for Season 22, so let us know if you plan to dive into that raid when it drops. And as always, I'll be sure to keep you posted with more info as Bungie release it. Next up though, in the TWID, there is a section about the Veil containment, and of course that's a repeatable activity this season that gives us information about Neomuna's history, the Veil itself, and some of the characters in the universe. And there are a few additional insights inside of the TWAB update, but importantly, Bungie do say that Veil containment will continue being unlocked for the remaining 3 weeks of Season 21, plus there will actually be additional entries to unlock at the start of Season 22 and Season 23, so if you're into the lore and you've been enjoying that story, there is plenty more of it to come, including in upcoming seasons, so that's cool. And you can actually jump into Veil containment and play back all of the dialogue messages from the entirety of this season. So if you haven't caught them all on a week-to-week basis, you can essentially go in and listen to all of them at any point. So certainly something to look out for there. There's some pretty cool story, and it's a positive that there is yet more of that to come. But if you want more insights from the developers and the story team, there are a few more words about it inside of the TWID, so that is linked down below. Next though, Bungie talk about Warden's Law, and they say, an update from the weapons team, when we were looking at weapons to bring back for Nightfall rewards this season, we knew we wanted to do something unique, and the Warden's Law hand cannon fit the bill. It was a fun idea from back in the Forsaken days that never really caught on with players due to the difficulty in both landing shots from the vertical spread that it fired, So we thought to ourselves, how could we make this gun feel better to use while maintaining the identity it originally shipped with? So they say the most important thing we felt was to move away from the idea of it firing a spread, which is when multiple shots are fired at the same time with a single trigger pull, and to allow it to instead fire a burst, which is when multiple shots are fired one after another with a single trigger pull. And the initial version of the new Warden's Law pretty much had it becoming a legendary version of Crimson, complete with a 3-round burst, and while that was fun, it never felt right. And it also felt like it took something away from Crimson itself, so we've been through several variants, including a handful that modified the time between the bullets in the burst, before settling on a 2-round burst with a slightly longer delay between shots than normal. So normal bursts fire at 900 RPM, while this one fires at 600 RPM. They go on to say next we knew that we had to tune it to give players a reason to run this over a standard 120 RPM hand cannon, and we also knew we needed to make it feel great to use, while still leaving room for perks and stats to improve it. So we spent time focusing on several major parts of the equation: the damage per burst, the PvP time to kill, and the recoil pattern. And because the weapon is harder to use than a normal hand cannon, in that you must hit 2 shots in a burst with each trigger pull instead of just 1, we decided to allow it to do slightly more critical hit damage, and kill just a bit faster than something like Igneous Hammer. We utilised the damage profile that aggressive frame hand cannons had some years back, dealing up to 90 damage per burst against players, that's 25 per body and 45 per crit, and then we slightly reduced the burst delay, so that it has a slightly faster 0.93 second time to kill instead of the standard 1 second. And they finished by saying we were also very careful to tune the recoil pattern in a way that felt manageable at a base level, but that still motivated players to utilize perks to improve it. The pattern itself is doubly important because of the tightness of the burst, and the direct impact on how usable the gun is at longer ranges, and since we were allowing the gun to deal more damage and kill more quickly, we didn't want it to be able to reach the same maximum ranges as standard 120 hand cannons, so we designed the recoil pattern in such a way that it would be more difficult to land 2 crits from the same burst at 35 plus meters, while still maintaining a smooth feel and decent ease of use at closer ranges. We're really excited for you to get this revamped weapon in your hands, and we hope you have as much fun shooting it as we have had working on it. So, a few insights about Warden's Law right there. Certainly sounds potentially pretty interesting. Of course, Bungie are also doing other work on hand cannons next season, including buffs for PvE. And of course, it will come with new perk possibilities, so definitely a weapon I'm curious to check out. Let us know your thoughts on that adjustment that Bungie have made to it down below. And once again, as we get into the new season, I'll be sure to keep you posted on it. But also in the TWAB, there's a section where they talk about the economy, and most of it is stuff that they spoke about yesterday in the article. We also covered that in a video, so I'll link it down below. But they say not mentioned in the article is that Dead Man's Tale will be added to the loot pool for the exotic mission rotator when Presage is available. Of course, that has other sources in the game right now, but they say it will also make Dead Man's Tale a craftable exotic weapon, so get those crafting pants on because it's about to go down for DMT lovers. Presumably, they'll also update the perk possibilities on it, but they say because you can craft or grab it from the exotic mission rotator, the scout rifle won't be part of Xur's wares in Season 22, so they'll be adjusting the kind of drop source for that weapon entirely, making it craftable, and once again, presumably giving it some additional sandbox capabilities. So, pretty exciting stuff right there, and in general it will be interesting to see what rewards we'll be able to get from the exotic mission rotator, but let me know what you think about it down below. Also in the TWAB, there is a section about Trials map voting, so from August 1st to August 2nd, we'll be able to vote for Cathedral of Dusk, Vostok, or the Anomaly as the Trials map. They'll be sending that vote out via email, but they also say stay tuned for the link on Destiny 2's Twitter channel on August 1st. So if you fancy some Trials map voting right there, that'll be coming up pretty soon. And finally in the TWAB, there's the known issues section. One of the standout items there though, is that Bungie say beginning next week, you'll be able to Sparrow to your heart's content in Bonfire Bash. So interesting, they're adding Sparrow travel back to Bonfire Bash next week. Give us your thoughts on that. They also highlight that the event will end on August 8th, so players working on event cards will need to complete that by then. Once again though, if you want to check out any of those items in further detail, I'll link This Week in Destiny down below. Yes, I know I've called it TWAB a couple of times already in this video, but you guys know what I'm talking about. If you've enjoyed the video today though, a rating below really does help us out. Also be sure to get subscribed to the channel if you want me to keep you posted with more Destiny content. Give us your thoughts once again on any of the items we've discussed down below. But otherwise, thank you for tuning in, and I hope you guys have an awesome day.